What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome back to another draft edition of the Barking Brown Show. I'm your host, Jacob. I am solo today. We're going to wrap up the NFL Combine, one of my favorite weeks of the year. And suddenly we're almost to free agency. So let's talk about some draft prospects, talk about the Browns, what they're looking for. As always, we are brought to you by our friends over at Homage Apparel. I've got the brownie, the traditional brownie version, the Cleveland Browns orange shirt. I love it. I think they make the best apparel in the business. They've got Ohio State, the Guardians, the Cavs, your Browns, everything. They got you covered. So check out the link down below and go get you some homage gear today. All right, guys. The Combine, like I said, one of my favorite times of the year. I want to start and preface this by saying that we're going to discuss 5 guys that I believe are Browns targets, 5 guys the Browns have been linked to, and 5 guys that I think the Browns should potentially go after in their showings at the Combine. All 5 of these guys, I think, had really good showings overall. One of them isn't going to test off the charts in terms of relative athletic score, because that's what I'm going to base a lot of this on, is because that's what you're trying to gather from the Combine is some of the athletic testing and things like that, and it's a tool. But these are guys that I think tested really well or had some sort of drill in some way, shape, or form that really stood out as guys I already kind of liked or guys that the Browns had already been linked to. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. Now, I will preface this by saying the Combine is not this be-all, end-all. Tape matters more. But the Combine helps you confirm what you saw on tape or makes you go back and watch the tape in a different way. You're like, oh, wow, that guy his vertical was a lot better. He's more explosive, because you've got the explosive exercises, the speed exercises, and then your size. And then, they have the bench press thrown in there as well. And you get to look at these tools and you say, okay, these guys are really good. So really explosive, really fast. Like, does that show up on tape? And if it doesn't show on tape, why doesn't it show on tape? And then you also start going, it might not show on tape yet, but I can see it. So I can work with it. I can have some fun with this. I can make this. And so I think it should be, the tape should matter way more. But I think looking at this, you can then say, well, this tape with these testing can get you to this point. This is where I think this player can become. That's where the projection side of it really, really comes in my mind. But again, I don't think this should be 50% of your scouting grade should not be on the Combine. I don't think so. I think it should be somewhere in the 20s, maybe even lower, but it's still fun. It's the underwear Olympics, as my friend Corey Kennan would tell you. And we're going to dive into it. So we're going to start with a guy I like a lot, and that's Adebawore, the defensive end out of Northwestern. Some are calling him a defensive tackle. He may actually be better on the inside than he is on the outside. So I don't have a lot of arguments with that, but he does have that inside outside flexibility. So we look at his size, 6'1", 282. He's a little undersized at the 6'1", but the 282 is a very stout 282. 27 reps on the bench. Very strong, powerful guy. 282, he runs a 4.48. I'm sorry, a 4.49 40-yard dash. That dude is built like a brick house, and he was boogieing, running a 4.49 down the line. He had a 1.61 10-yard split, which really measures the ability to get from 0 to 100, to get from stop to max speed. He had a 1.61 in the 10-yard split. His explosives were also elite, and a 37.5-inch vertical at 282 pounds, and a 10-foot 5-inch broad jump at 282 pounds. That gives him a 9.85 RAS score, the relative athletic score, which measures the size, the speed, and the explosion of a player. And Adebawore is a guy that has really this, the offseason, the draft circuit, if you will, had a great Senior Bowl where he played with just tremendous strength and leverage and showed how to use his hands. He was able to play inside and outside there. He goes into the Combine and it's like, hey, are you also like really kind of freakishly athletic? Oh yeah, it turns out you're also kind of a freak athlete. And you see that stuff on his tape. You see the thing I saw on his tape was kind of a stiff athlete, but still a guy that had some get off, right? I don't think he has a ton of bend or flexibility in his hips and that sort of thing. But like, especially if you're thinking like, hey, is a guy at 282, 6'1", I may slide him inside a little bit more than I play him outside. I think he's a tremendous run defender. I think one of the better run defenders in this class, kind of up there with Felix Nduke-Uzama, that I think is a very, very good run defender on the outside. But I think this is just the epitome of an Andrew Berry pick, whereas Adebaway's there is at 42. I really could see the Browns go that direction. He plays inside, he plays outside, he can play the run, he can rush the passer, and he's a freak athlete. He checks off all those boxes, and I think he's had a tremendous Senior Bowl circuit, draft circuit, if you want to call it. Great Senior Bowl, good tape, great athletic testing, and really a ball of clay that I think you can see from the testing in the Senior Bowl and versus his tape that he's not at his ceiling yet. And I think he has a really nice high ceiling. So first player out of Adebaway, I won't try to attempt to say his first name. Now I'm going to go with a guy that I got a little bit ridiculed last week for writing a mock draft in which I took him a little bit early in the 5th round. And that's Zach Kuntz, the tight end from Old Dominion. He used to play for Penn State. This dude came out and now has officially a 10.0 perfect RAS score for tight ends, which means in terms of the relative athletic score, this is the best we've ever seen from a tight end. And by the way, this draft is chock full of these guys, dude. Like so many athletic tight ends. They just went out and just blew away the combine. If you need a tight end, I think the Browns are going to address it. We've talked about it on Browns Wire. I think they're going to go after a tight end. Zach Kuntz is so let's go through the testing, right? He gets a perfect score. So 6'7", 255. This is my favorite part. At 6'7", 255 as a tight end, he ran a 4.5, 540. 6'7". 23 reps of the bench press, 40-inch vert, 10-foot, 8-inch broad, and then his shuttle was a 4.12 second shuttle, and his three cone was a 6.87. All elite numbers, all of those across the board, elite numbers, except for his weight at 255. He could be a little bit bigger. He's explosive. He can change direction quickly. He has reliable hands. He has the strength to be a blocker. He's just not put it all together on tape. You go back and you watch the tape. I think he only has 13 receptions for Old Dominion. He's a little bit older as well, but he does start at Penn State. So you do see, well, okay, he did go to Penn State. So at some point he was relatively highly recruited. He was a player that, there was this big expectation for him. He goes to Old Dominion. I've watched some of his tape. I can't say I know a lot about Old Dominion's offense overall, but you see a guy, reliable hands, willing blocker, has all the athleticism, all the tools. If the Browns are sitting there in the 5th, 6th round, and they're like, man, we just need to take a chance on a guy because that's what you do. You just take chances on guys on day 3 of the draft. And I think Zach Kuntz could be that guy because you still have Harrison Bryant to kind of fulfill that role if Kuntz isn't ready, but you got an older player that tested off the charts that is willing to take a flyer, in the 6th, 7th round, something like that. If he's there, maybe in the 5th. Again, I say that the combine isn't the be all end all when it comes to scouting, but when you're looking at some day 3 players, stuff like this, looking at these data points and the way he performed out there, you could say, yeah, that's a guy in the 5th round, 6th round. I'm going to take a chance because I think I can mold this guy into a ball of clay because he's got absolutely all of the tools to turn into a pretty decent backup tight end, maybe even better. I don't know. However you want to put it. All right, let's go back to defense, guys. My next guy on my list is the nickel corner from Michigan, DJ Turner. DJ Turner, first and foremost, ran the best 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine with a 4.26. Anytime, for me, and somebody said this online, I wish I can remember who it was because I'd love to give them credit. They say we've been so desensitized to speed because we have so many 4.4 guys that like 4.4 is not even that impressive, and even 4.3 is not even all that impressive. We're like, wake me when you break the 4.3s and you get into the 2s. But a 4.26 from a guy, he's a little undersized at 5'1", 178 pounds. That composite size grade did hurt his RAS score. It was actually considered very poor, and he did not do the agility testing. But he did have really good explosive grades, 38.5-inch vertical, a 10-foot, 11-inch broad, so nearly an 11-foot broad jump. Nearly an 11-foot broad jump. I've read all of this, but I looked at it again. That's how I think impressive that number was. I had to do a little double take for you guys real quick. This is intriguing. The Combine's listing him as a free safety, but he's primarily a slot corner, and the Browns could use both. I love Greg Newsome. I love Martin Emerson. I love, Denzel Ward, but they've got to get a true slot corner. And DJ Turner, his tape, there's an NFL slot corner That's NFL slot corner tape. He's incredibly explosive, incredibly fast. We see it the 9.12 overall RAS score. He's got 30 and 3/4 inch arms and a 9.625 inch hands. So you're looking at this guy and you're saying the Browns have got to find somebody in the slot. This is a guy that you could turn to on day 2 of the draft, maybe even the 3rd round, 4th round, maybe somewhere in there is probably where he's going to go. And you're just looking at an explosive, fast corner that has the tape and potentially could play some free safety. He played all over the field for Michigan. They're kind of projecting him in the NFL a little bit as a free safety. But you're seeing a lot of these safeties in college that play slot as well. That kind of, you don't even really want to call them corners, slot corners, because they're not. They're safeties that can play in the slot. And I think DJ Turner said that may be where he goes. But I think just an incredibly explosive, incredibly fast. This is a guy that really, when you run the fastest 40, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you're going to be a first round pick or anything like that. But that does mean somebody needs to pay attention. And he definitely caught my eye more so than he had prior. And I am still in the works to watch some more of his tape. But I think in terms of hey, man, we could use a guy that could play some deep coverage, that can play against these quick, fast, and burners out of the slot, because there's just so much weaponry in the slot, especially with speed now in the NFL. And with DJ Turner at a 4.26 that he can keep up strictly from a speed standpoint. He can keep up with any of those wide receivers in the slot or in deep coverage. And it's exactly what the Browns need. So if the Browns again look for a corner, I think it will be a specific slot corner. I think DJ Turner, he really showed out at the combine. Is really impressive performance. And I think that the Browns should absolutely have him on their radar. So real quick, I want to work our way through here. Just two more players for you guys. We got Josh Downs, the wide receiver from North Carolina. I really like Josh Downs. Now his size ends up being very poor and it hurts him. And I think, so he runs a 4.48, which was I thought he would be in the lower 4.4s. So he ends up at a 7.79. But the really reason that I put him on here is the explosives tested really, really well. 38.5 inch vertical, another 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump. He is not necessarily the burner. Like, he was never going to test in the 4.3s. It was always going to be in the 4.4s. I thought it would be closer to like 4.43, 4.44. Instead, he ends up running a 4.48, which is still considered good. It's still a good number. But what I really wanted to point out was there was one of my favorite drills, and they kept talking about it on Saturday, is that gauntlet drill, where they run down the line of scrimmage. And the point is to stay on that line, have the body control and the footwork to stay on that, yard line all the way straight across while turning left and right to catch passes. And Josh Downs did it almost perfectly. He was just steps, just smoothly glides. He's such a smooth route runner. He has such great body control where he's able to contort and twist and move to get the ball, but yet stay on that straight line and control where his feet are going, where his body's going. And he's just effortless. It just looks effortless. It reminds me of Amari Cooper when it comes to the way Amari runs his routes, where it's just gliding across the field, smooth, effortless, doing exactly by the textbook what you would say when it comes to route running and body control. You're like, okay, this guy's dynamic. He's explosive. He tests really well in the explosives. He runs in the 4.4s, so he has top line speed. But what he got great at and borderline elite was the 10-yard split with a 1.49 for the first 10 yards. So getting from 0 to 100 for him is on a dime. Snap of your fingers, on a dime. So he's got the great body control to throttle up, throttle down, stay exactly where he's supposed to be, creates tremendous separation on tape, just tremendous separation. And you're seeing it now. Yes, he's explosive, dynamic. He can create in the open field, but you're seeing it with the 4.48 that he's not just explosive and dynamic because he can run really fast. No, it's because he understands the nuances of route running. He understands body control, and he understands just what his job is. He understands how to do it correctly, and do it at a high level. I love Josh Downs. He's there at 42. I would run the pickup. I'd absolutely love it. I think Andrew Berry will love it. And I thought he just had a really, really good combine. All right, guys. Last guy on this. I'm going to eat some crow. what I'm going to do here is I'm going to not say that my opinion on a player completely changed by the combine, but I'm going to give some credit to Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell. People that have watched me and listened to me for a little bit while know that I just don't love Campbell in run defense. I don't love him for what the Browns need as a linebacker, but he is a very good coverage linebacker, and he's a freak athlete. Gets a 9.98, 9.998, 9.98. He gets a 37.5-inch vertical, 10-foot, 8-inch broad jump, runs a 4.65, which was medium, but he is very good on his 10-yard split at a 1.59. At 249 pounds, he had elite grades in the shuttle with a 4.24 and the 3-cone with a 6.74. He doesn't do the bench. The concerns that I have with him is run support. I just see a guy that struggles all the time to shed blocks. But you can't argue about his athleticism, man. I watched in awe as Jack Campbell just put on an absolutely brilliant performance at the NFL Scouting Combine. And it has made me say, okay, I might be a little bit of a hater on Jack Campbell. And maybe, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't have anything against Jack Campbell. I think he's a good player. I just never thought he was a great prospect. This home run, everybody says that he's probably a third-round pick, but he's probably a home run, like, surefire pick. And I just I'm not there yet with him. But I will say, seeing athletic testing like this, and I said it with Adebawore, I've said it with all these other guys, where it's like you have the tape, and with Zach Kuntz, where it's like the tape's got to match it. Campbell has good tape and amazing athleticism, and so that's starting to make me go, okay, maybe I'm a little too harsh on him. Maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm using to grade linebackers, something of that nature. But he comes out and just puts just a what do you want me to say? Just one of the best performances we've seen out of a linebacker in a kind of a weak draft for linebackers. Like it's him. There's a few other guys, your first round. And it's just like, I don't think the Browns will go linebacker, but I'm coming around to where if Jack Campbell was the decision, I will stop being such a hater on Jack Campbell. And I think he could be a really nice addition in the middle of that line at 249 pounds and 6'4". So that's it, man. Those are my 5 standouts for the 5 Browns targets that stood out at the combine. And I just thought that was a really great week. Guys, we are 1 week from free agency. Well, by the time you guys see this, we are 6 days from tampering and 8 days from free agency. And I think the Browns are about to make some moves and shake some things up. So no regular Barking Browns tonight. Tuesday night, we are off. I have work obligations to get to, but we'll be back next week to start talking free agency as the offseason, the NFL doesn't sleep. The offseason moves on. Most valuable thing you can give someone, guys, is some of your time. So I appreciate you giving some of yours to me today. I will talk to you guys next time. As always, go Browns.